to you. Illawarra. Illawarra. And people don't believe in Wollongong, doubt us all year. You better start believing because we'll be back next year.
Ball driving. 7 seconds left. He pulls the trigger. Big shot taker. Big shot maker. Tyler Harvey enormous.
Yes, hello and welcome back to the Hawks Hangout, your one-stop shop for everything Hawks-related content. Big, massive shout-out, as always, to our amazing sponsors over at Enabled U2 and Principal Brewing. Corey, championship banner raising night. It was our first home game of the season. Some pretty impressive stuff. What else have we got in store today?
Well, we're going to review that first game against Tassie Jack Jumpers. We're going to preview the next 2 games that we've got coming up against the Perth Pussycats and the New Zealand Breakers. We're going to throw a couple of new nicknames for our new additions to our squad. We've also got a little bit of little McGee talk, and then, we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So getting straight into it, our narrow loss to Tassie. Now, it was an amazing night for all 5,123 of us there. I'm looking at the official score sheet. 5,123 of us, except it felt like a lot more in there, Corey.
Yeah.
That place was absolutely electric from top to bottom. Chuck Harmison was there. Obviously, you had all of your NBL people there. We took most of the time for the warm-up, obviously getting the keys for the city as well in the same presentation that we got to raise our 24-25 championship banner. And my God, what an absolute feeling that was. Waiting 22 years for myself, Corey, you've waited 24.
Yeah.
It was absolutely beautiful to get to see that. And obviously didn't have a few of the people that were there, but having those new additions in there, you thought they would have wanted to be a little bit more competitive and a little bit more hungry. However, I still thought it was a pretty decent game. Yeah,
I'm going to say, to be honest with you, when I heard we had 2 big outs in Hickey and Bolden, I was obviously very worried. I thought that we could have actually lost by a lot more. I was pretty encouraged by the effort they put in. And again, like we've said before, under Tatum, we still haven't been flogged. I think still our biggest loss under Tatum is 14 points to Adelaide last season, which I don't really think that's really much of a flogging. So still pretty impressive. Like I said in the previous podcast, that any team who's out without 1 starter is going to really struggle. And the Hawks were without 2. And they gave themselves a chance to win. They hit the front, I think, 75-74 in the last quarter. And I thought, oh, wow, could they just do something incredible here? But it wasn't to be. But to be honest with you, I was pretty impressed with the performance, considering we had Hickey out especially. And Bolden, again, is another great inside presence for us. But Hickey is the big out. Now, we haven't really spoken about it too much, but it was obvious, and it came out in the media, that Tatum gave Hickey the keys. He was going to run this team. Most teams do go with a import point guard, but I'm going to say this. It's Tatum's coaching philosophy. His philosophy is he believes in his players and he rewards them when they show him that what they can do. And he was unbelievable last year in the finals. So he's gone out and said, yeah, he's my man. And I respect that, because what that shows, and it shows that he's a player's coach. And so all the other players see this as well, and they say, wow, like if I play well, I'm going to get rewarded and play. It doesn't matter if who comes in, an import comes in. If I've done the job, this coach is going to reward me. And I think that's just a great mindset for the whole squad.
Yeah.
So I respect what he's done. But in saying that, now he's injured, and so now it becomes a challenge because we don't have that genuine import starter. So like obviously they got J-Roc to be that import to come off the bench and play a bit of a role. Now he's become a starter. So that is probably a little bit of issue. It's probably thrown a bit of a spanner into the works. So to be honest with you, I think if we had Hickey in this game, we win the game.
Yeah, it's a bit hard, as we said on the last episode. Having 1 starter out is huge regardless. And you've seen it happen. Obviously, with Cairns, they didn't have their point guard yet. They get blown out in the first game that they play. Andrew Andrews comes in, and they've just narrowly won the next 2 games.
Yeah, but they've come in and got the job done. They've won the next 2.
Yeah.
Like people blew that out of proportion. Oh my God, Tassie got flogged. But without him, like it's an import. I think they had another guy out. Yeah, Wardenberg. So they had 2 starters out.
Yeah.
They got
It's the same
pumped.
as
We
us.
had 2 starters out. We had a narrow
Lost by 6.
loss.
5.
So it's like, and there's still hope there. I think Hickey, but the scary thing about Hickey is how long is he going to be out for? Are they going to need to make a change, because the season can get away from you very quickly? And even though like narrow losses can be like keep your hopes up, but it's still a loss. And if we keep building up on these losses, I said one of the great things about the Hawks is we tend to bounce back from losses. I think there's only been a couple of times when we've had back to back. So, but if it starts at the start of the season 0-3 or 0-4, it's going to be tough to come back in this league from that. I really think we need to be, after 4 games, if Hickey's still out, we need to be 2-2. I think it's doable, but it's not going to be easy. But I think that's got to be their aim, to be 2-2 after 4 games.
Yeah, a 2-2 record is definitely doable. As you said, it's not going to be easy. Nothing comes easy in this league. As we all know, it ain't no cupcake league. But speaking of easy, Corey, by far the easiest topic we have ever covered on this show so far. It is the return of Get Up and Get Out for this season. It's our season premiere. We're finally back into it. All of your favorite segments are coming back. Look out for Flog Watch. We already know who's going to win that this year. But JaVale McGee, Corey, Get Up or Get Out for you?
Oh, it's Get Up. Oh, it was the greatest debut for an import in NBL history. It was unbelievable. It was spectacular. And he had 32 points, 13 rebounds, couple of assists, couple of steals, 3 blocks. Like, wow. And one of the assists was like no look. It was like we were up like goals on. He was spectacular, and went to the line, nailed both of his free throws. So all the things that we were worried about was like out the window. He was, and you know what? He came up against, and I said this last game in the preview of this, I was like, oh, Magnay's one of the premier centers in the league. I think he actually got rated as the number 1 in a rundown of each position before the season started. He was number 1, and McGee just schooled him. Like Magnay had only like 7 points or something, 8 rebounds, something like that. Played 27 minutes.
11 points.
So he wasn't anywhere near as impactful as he has been previously against the Hawks. And McGee made him look small. And it was really great to see a center playing for the Hawks who gets that ball near the ring and just wants to jam that ball hard into the hoop. He had some nice little impressive moves in the post as well. It was just an incredible debut, and hopefully it's a sign of things to come. But I think they said it was the most points for an import on debut ever, and also maybe the most points in the first round of it, but that got taken away anyway by Cotton the day later. So.
A day later.
Yeah.
No, so for an import on debut, it was the most points scored in a debut by an import in the NBL in history.
Wow.
And so just for a few stats, I've gone back through and I've had a look. Bryce Cotton on his debut scored 26. He had 26, 5, and 1.
Okay.
He then finished that season with MVP.
Wow.
He won a championship. And finished the season with 22 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Bryce Hamilton, another Bryce in the league. Only the second Bryce to play in this league, apparently.
Wow.
First game, Tasmanian Jack Jumpers. 24 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Montrezl Harrell, 13 points, 13 rebounds. LaMelo Ball, when he played for Illawarra Hawks. 12 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. The last centre, who technically isn't an import, but they've kind of likened him with the playing style that he kind of plays as well. But our man, Andrew Bogut himself, in the year that he played for the Sydney Kings, his first game, he had 11, 12, and 3 with 3 blocks. He then finished that season with an average of
he would not be much.
77 blocks or something like that. In the
total 77 blocks.
Total of 77 blocks. So he had roughly about
2 or
3 a game before he went overseas. But in his first game, he had 6 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 assists. In that one, ended up finishing with MVP before he went back overseas to play with Golden State and the Lakers.
Did he get MVP that year?
He got MVP that year that he played.
Wow.
He got MVP that year that he played. But for then JaVale to come in, and as you said, Corey, 32 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals with 3 blocks on 75% field goal. He was 15 from 20.
That's ridiculous.
Didn't shoot any threes or all the rest of it, and could have quite easily because he was left wide open at the top of the key many of times. But he drove it in, got the fouls when he wanted to, and ended up nailing both of them, which we were a bit hesitant about at first. But ended up
be Hacker Big Mac.
Oh,
but let's just say, well, you've just rattled some of the big names off, and I've said previously as well that NBL is not a big man's league; it's a guard-centered league. They usually dominate. So to see a center get 32 points, it was like old school. It was like back in like Shaq, Orlando Magic, and Lakers day where they just hammered the ball inside, dunks everywhere, left, right, and center. It was actually cool to see a big man dominate because traditionally the last few years in the NBA and the NBL has been that guard-orientated league with Bryce Cotton, Trey Kell, Tyler Harvey, those types of guys, Milton Doyle being the guys who dominate the league. So it was actually awesome to see. And I didn't actually see it coming. So I was hoping out of McGee this season, if we got 10 and 10, that would be spectacular. I think the rebounds is going to be pretty much on that 10 rebounds. He's just an absolute beast on the boards. If he can average, if he can average 20 points a game in this league and 10 rebounds, that is going to be huge. Because I was anticipating maybe 10 and 10.
Yeah. And he can add 3 blocks like he was doing.
If he can get those 3 blocks, like I'm not going to expect him to get 32 points every game, but if he can be up around that 20 and then his average be 20, that is, if we can just somehow then get some more spark from our guards and some guys coming off the bench, like the game that we played here, we pretty much only played 7 guys. That's very un-Tatum-like and very un-Hawks. Like we usually go like 9 in the rotation. He likes to get those players involved. But obviously with Hickey and Bolden out, he was a little bit restricted in what he could do. So we mainly had 7 guys. And again, I'm just so impressed that we're still able to be in that game.
Yeah.
And have a chance to win. It was really only a couple of little plays here and there. We're unlucky. And I'm going to have to say, like, the refereeing and officiating has changed. The Hawks are going to have to adjust to that, I think, because obviously Tassie has already had a couple of games, and you could tell they were a lot more physical defensively. Like when Tyler was driving to the basket, he'd always have someone pushing against his hip. That was getting called last year every time. It wasn't getting called in this game. So if we can adjust quickly with the defensive team that we have, like when Hickey gets back in and he can know that he can be a little bit more touchy defensively, like he's going to be a beast. He's already great defensively as it is. So you chuck him in there. Bolden as well is great defensively. We know that we can be a little bit more physical and adjust to that. We've got to do it quickly, though, because like I felt like we got a little bit left behind in that. And Tassie, probably that was a little bit of the difference in the game when they got a little bit pushy as we were driving. Things weren't getting called. Grabby under the things on rebounds weren't getting called. So if we can get like that as well, that could be a difference in the game. We only lost by 5.
Yeah. Magnay, Bannon, and Williamson, I believe, were all of the ones down low marking up on McGee, and they were all over him at one point. There was a point in time where I believe Magnay and Bannon were on at the same time, and they were just trapping JaVale down in the post. And it was ridiculous. The poor man was like, got his arms up in the air, still being able to catch the ball, mind you, if he could, and tip the ball out. But everyone was all over him. So for him to finish with 32 points, mind you, Corey, in 30 minutes and 44 seconds. So if you round that up to about 31 minutes, he's scoring a point a minute in this league. Anytime he is on the floor, every minute, you can expect him to score a point, basically.
Yeah. See, that's we're not probably expecting to play huge minutes like that every game, but obviously with Bolden being out, like has it got the breakdown of each quarter? What were the quarter breakdowns?
So it does it actually a really nice thing here where it goes every 5 minutes that they do the score. So in the first 5 minutes of quarter 1, it was 8-10 Tassie Jack Jumpers. We finished quarter 1 tied at 21-21.
Yeah.
First 5 minutes of quarter 2, we were leading 34-33, sorry. And then at the end of the second quarter, going into halftime, Jack Jumpers were up 49-45. We come out 5 minutes in quarter 3. It was 55-62 Jack Jumpers. And then by the end of that, it was 61-69 to Jack Jumpers. So in 5 minutes, we've gone 6 points and they've gone 7 points. So really not much in that third quarter, which is usually the Hawks' troublesome quarter. And then going into quarter 4, after 5 minutes, we were 75 points to 80 points up Tassie.
But then that's interesting because they were up. Okay, but I remember. So it was 61-69. We got up 75-74. So we've gone on like a 14-5 run to hit the front. But then obviously Tassie's then gone and scored the next 6 to go up 80-85. And then we haven't been able to like get close again. And unfortunately they've ran away with it and won 91-86. But again, we stayed close pretty much. It wasn't, I think the biggest lead, maybe Tassie had maybe a 10-point lead or so some stage in the game. I remember seeing that, but we got it back again. But there wasn't a huge deficit throughout the game. Like I said, I thought overall it was a pretty good effort. But moving forward, obviously, it's another close loss. We mentioned last year we're not great in the close games. But I think there was good signs there, but we got it. Like I said in the earlier episode, we're not going to blow out teams this year, I don't think. We don't have the 3-point shooting power, so we're going to have to learn to get better at winning close games. I just hope we can do that. So you want to move on to looking at the next games?
Well, the next few games, and before we do that, I'm taking a page out of your book. Now, we called JaVale McGee Big Mac.
Yeah.
We all thought, oh, God, here we go. He's going to come in. It's going to be like 10-10, or it'll be donuts, or it'll be all of this stuff. He's going to get fouled out by these people, and then he turns around and the media have called him the MVG.
MVG.
Forget MVP. They're calling him the MVG, which quite honestly, if he can sit around, as you said, Corey,
20 and 10.
That 20 and 10 mark as a big man, I think the only other person that was quite similar to that probably would have been Xavier Cooks when he
was even less than that. He didn't average anywhere near 20, and he got it. So if he's averaging 20 and 10, he is a big chance. The only other big man in the league who I think is a chance to average anything like that is JLA. I think he's the only one who has the ability to sort of average that as a big guy. Even though I'm going to say, just throwing it out there, Harrison for Bullets is averaging that right now. So he's another one you can throw in there. Maybe it's a little changing of the guard of the NBL that, like, literally the guards are not going to be as dominant now, and this is maybe becoming a big man's league because we've got some pretty good big men in there now, and it's going to be very, very interesting. But I like that nickname. I've got a couple more for you as well.
Right.
So we did this last year and got a few new additions to our team. I'll give you a couple. We might do a couple each week, but the first one we're going to do is our man Jonah Bolden. Now, the older listeners here will know that Jonah's dad played in the NBL. He was a superstar. His name was Bruce Bolden. He was a great player, one of the great imports ever to play in the NBL. Moved around, played for a few different teams, Southeast Melbourne. I can remember the West Sydney Razorbacks. And he was just a dominant power forward, big guy, super strong, super powerful. And I just like Bruce. So when you hear Bolden, you got to think Bruce. So Jonah, I'm going to call him Bruce Almighty. So he's going to be Bruce Almighty, and he's got that ability to block shots and run up down floor and get some dunks as well. I think we're going to have some highlight reels for the Hawks this year with big Bruce Almighty Bolden. So next one is J-Roc JaQouri McLaughlin. Now, that McLaughlin name, some of our older listeners will remember too. Probably the most famous Australian McLaughlin is Craig McLaughlin. Now, he was on Neighbours. I think he was on Home and Away.
Dancing with the
Stars, Rocky Horror Show, bit of everything. But he had a little bit of a singing career, Craig. And one of his most famous songs was, Hey, Mona, ooh, Mona. So, JaQouri, you're Hey, Mona. That's Hey, Mona McLaughlin. That is your nickname. So it's going to stick with you, mate. I'm going to tell you, the people who work there at the Hawks, if he hits a big bucket, you got to get Craig McLaughlin blasting through those speakers, a bit of Hey Mona. That'll get the crowd flying.
I'm sure Mac will absolutely love that one. He's already got the Frolan on return, Limp Bizkit keep rolling.
Love
But
it.
speaking of keeping rolling, someone who didn't quite roll into his role as of such, your man
Yeah, hey, man.
JaQouri McLaughlin. Now, according to Code Sports, and this has just come through about an hour ago, Corey, but according to Code Sports, there is uncertainty surrounding his future as the club weighs up the balance of the roster moving forward. Hickey looks out for another 3 weeks at maximum, meaning they need J-Roc in order to play.
Now, this is very interesting. Like I said before, like 3 weeks in the NBL can be a lot of games. So we haven't looked at the schedule. You could probably have a quick look.
I dare say that
find
would
out.
take him until that New Zealand game.
Well,
It's
no,
probably the
there's-
next home game. It'd be the next home game.
3 weeks. I think there could be more than that. Like that is genuine worry. 3 weeks could be 4 or 5 games. That is a concern. I'll see if I can have a quick look at what it's going to be. But he passed the ball well, but in saying that, he sort of drove, looked unsure, and then threw it up. And McGee made him look pretty good on some of those assists. He just couldn't get his shot really on fire. Took it inside a couple of times and got it swatted out of there. His 3-pointers, he missed a couple and they weren't great. Like sometimes you can have okay misses where it might rim out and you go, look good, but that was just unlucky. But he's hitting back on. They didn't really look like they were going to go in. If I'm being honest, I thought as a team we looked a little bit better and more energetic when Bawali Bales was on the court. JaQuori did some really good things, but I think overall, if Hickey's going to be out, like if he played that role and Hickey was there, you'd take that from what they probably want him, like 5 points. You probably want a few more points, but 4 rebounds, 6 assists. I think he was about that.
Yep.
But you take that if Hickey was there. But when Hickey's not there, we're going to make up another 14, 8, and 6.
Yep.
So is like JaQuori going to be able to get you 28 and 6? I just don't know. And that's probably why the question mark is there. Because if the Hawks wait and Hickey is out for potential like 5 games, we could be well behind and chasing our tail for the rest of the season. What do you think?
Yeah. So while you're looking at that one, Corey, he finished the game with 5 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds altogether. He had 1 turnover. He was 3 from 4 from his free throws, so he was 75%. He missed both of his 3-point attempts, so he was 0 from 2. And then his 2-point attempts, he was 1 from 6. So that took him to 1 from 8 field goals for the entirety of the game. But with everything else that he did, he finished the game after fouling out, mind you, with a positive plus minus of +1. Now, that was in 26 minutes and 20 seconds. You look at someone else who was vying for the same kind of minutes and spots, Bawali Bales, 21 minutes and 32 seconds. In that time, he missed 2 2-pointers and he made his 1 3-pointer right towards the end, and he split his free throws down the middle, and he was 1 from 2. He then also had 4 rebounds, 4 assists, no turnovers, a steal, and 2 block shots, as well as 3 fouls as well. But in that time, he finished the game with a positive plus minus of -6. So -6, but I thought he was a much far better player.
Yeah, he did some great things. Like some game changing moments. Like he came up with a massive box steal, but then he got taken off. It's sort of like the energy was there, and you thought like he could come up with a big play. But I've just had a quick look now, and it looks like he could miss 4, potentially 5 games. We play obviously Perth, then New Zealand on the 8th. Then we've got a home game on the 11th. Then we play on the 18th against the Phoenix. So that would be just on 3 weeks. So if it goes any longer than that, on the 25th, we play the Wildcats again. So that would be 5 if it goes to the Wildcats, 4 if it doesn't. And of those 5 games, 4 of them are away from home. So it's not going to be easy in this league to win away from home. So if he's out for 4 of those 5, it's going to be very, very challenging for the Hawks. And I don't know if Bolden, I've heard a rumor Bolden may be back.
Yeah, we've heard Bolden
next
will be
game.
back.
Okay, well that's a positive, but it's just obviously our whole roster was constructed around the fact that Davo was going to be given the keys and be our starting point guard. So when that goes away, and point guard can be so influential. Like you look at Trey Kell last year, that signing was arguably the difference in us winning and losing a championship.
Absolutely.
He was just huge. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But they can't hang on. They've got to make a decision pretty quickly because the games will come thick and fast. And like I understand that he might play the next two, but then if it doesn't go our way, I feel like if we're not what I said, that target 2-2 after 4 games, they may have to pull the trigger.
Yeah,
but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Definitely interesting to see what happens, especially with the connection that he's got with Tatum in there as well. But it's quite interesting to note that I was fortunate enough to have media access this season and got to go down into the post-game conferences. You listen to someone like Scott Roth, when he first took over the club and he had the option in there, he actually wanted to sign Tiger Campbell first and foremost. And it was between Tiger Campbell and it was between Jordan Crawford, who they had at the time. Obviously, the club looked for Jordan Crawford as he had the more experience over Tiger Campbell. But now, obviously, with the whole Sean Mack incident and him being out, that was the first person he had called.
Yeah.
Obviously, with this situation, losing Trey Kell, the first person that they had called straight away is JaQouri McLaughlin. It's the coach's connection with these players that is going to get you through. Whether or not JaQouri McLaughlin is going to average these 5 points again with these 5 fouls, probably not. He's adjusting to the game. He's adjusting to being in this team with the rotations and stuff as well. And he's probably not used to having that starting role. He's come in here expecting to be coming off the bench and now has been thrown into a starting role.
It's
so
not easy.
The pressure is on him.
It's tough. 100% it's tough. It's not easy. But also, like, this is a league where, like, tough decisions have to be made. We are the defending champions. It's not really like you want to sit on your heels and be like, oh, let's just see what happens. If you do that, you can be left behind pretty quickly in this league. I think this is the strongest from top to bottom this league has ever been. There's no easy games, and you have a couple of guys out. It's going to impact you massively, and I don't really think you can just wait and then when Hickey comes back, then just expect us to be able to turn on the switch and start winning. I don't think it's going to happen that way. Like, it's still going to be challenging with Hickey in the lineup to say that we're going to win. We're not going to necessarily win every game when Hickey plays. So you want to be able to get some impact in there. Like, we've shown we can be competitive, and it might just mean like one extra spark that could like change it for us. So it's going to be interesting. I know it's been very hard, but I know for a fact that they signed JaQuori to be that backup guy, knowing that Davo was going to be the guy. And if that's what it was, I get it, because why would you sign a superstar point guard to sit on the bench if you're going to start Davo? So, but obviously you can't plan for Davo to be injured. So this is where they need to start thinking about what's plan B going to be and what's going to happen. But I honestly think they can't really wait too long. They've probably got the next 2 games. Perth's not going to be easy. New Zealand again, like, you'd think that we're a chance there. I went through to start the season, but in saying that, they're going to be desperate. Their season's going to be on the line. Like, if we lose to Perth, we're 0-2, they're 0-3. Like, the commentator's going to be saying whoever loses this game is going to be start looking to struggle. They're going to be chasing their tail. So it happens quickly in the NBL. So you got to be ready to go.
And speaking of ready to go, the boys are flying out on Wednesday over to the coveted Jungle, the RAC Arena, to face the Perth Pussycats without their man Bryce Cotton for the first time. For the first time, this team will come up against the Hawks in the regular season. Obviously, we have had that blitz where we did come away with the win. Obviously, different rotations, different
very
team,
different.
different
We probably can't take too much out of that. But obviously confidence, because we have had a pretty decent record against Perth of late. When history shows overall Perth, like, we were they were our bogey team, but of recently, like, I think we've got a pretty good record. I think I looked at something
5-1.
Yeah, 5-1 out of the last 6. It was like, we've only lost that one. I remember last season we lost to them once, but they shot the hell out of it. But we've won 5 or 6 out of the last 7 or 6, and really own them a little bit. So this game's not going to be easy though. Hopefully Bolden will be back without Hickey. We're going to have to have someone really step up. McGee again, it doesn't get any easy for him. He's come up against JLA, who is a little bit of a different look than Magnay. Magnay is very much around the rim and in that key area. He's not going to like bring you out to hit the three. JLA can hit that shot from the perimeter. So it'd be interesting. Hopefully Bolden can play though, because then we can potentially put Bolden on JLA. So then we still get rim protection from McGee. So that's going to be really interesting. I think that's probably going to be the key matchup. We're going to obviously need some points from Tyler as well, but we need someone else to step up and get us some points. So is it going to be Toddy? Is it going to be Wani? Is it going to be Grids? Are they just going to all pitch in with like 10 here and there? Like that in this league, like we've seen it, like South East Melbourne won a game this year with like no one scoring 20, but like 7 or 8 guys getting double figures. It may be something like that for the Hawks to get the win here, where everyone sort of pitches in. Will Bawali Bales be able to get like 10 points and get his 4 rebounds and 4 assists, like get his points up a little bit more? That's what we're going to need, because we're going to find someone. They're obviously going to have a huge focus on McGee and Harvey. Like that's what their focus is going to be. So we're going to try and find some spots elsewhere. Like Toddy feels really comfortable in that arena. He played for Perth, so hopefully he can have a big game. But Perth haven't been racking up the points that I thought they may. I thought they might have been a bit of an offensive juggernaut. They haven't really been putting big scores on. I think they've reached 100 yet in their games. What are they? What's their record?
They are at the moment 1-1, so they've split both the games.
And I think they only had us in the 70s, and then they had a game in the 80s. 89 and 72. So they haven't been like racking up big scores. So that could work in the Hawks' favour if we get into a bit of a grind. But the Hawks obviously want to get into transition. That's where they play at their best. But without Hickey there, he's the leader of that transition. He's a great rebounder as a guard and can push the ball. So Bawali might have to do that, but Bawali's probably not as good as Hickey as get into the rack consistently and finishing. So what do you reckon?
Look, I dare say Bawali would probably start. If you're going to take this absolutely seriously and you want McLaughlin to play the role that he's supposed to be playing, I'd be chucking someone like a Bawali Bales, who has proven he can start and he can finish in the NBL so far. You look at him the other day, hits a 3 right towards the end of the game, but his defense intensity is what makes him such a great player. If you want someone to come out there with something to prove, mind you, we're all about that on this podcast. People with something to prove, people with nothing left to lose, basically. But that matchup that he's going to have, he might be guarding Henschel, he might be guarding Winsler, he might be guarding Jones. Whoever he's going to be up against, he's going to be physical and he's going to be aggressive. It's also then going to allow Tyler Harvey to drop back and play that 2 role that he liked to play. It allows Wani to play the 3. It allows Peatling Bolding to play the 4. And it allows McGee to do his thing at the 5 while still having everyone around them doing the job that they need to do and not having to come out and play, which we got caught out a lot. They've had to then shift, and McGee's had to then come up to defend, and they've passed it. And the bigger forward has just blown past one of our wings and gone straight to the basket. I
agree. I think Bales is going to be huge in this game. He's just fearless. Like he comes on, he's a great energy guy. Like he just makes those plays, those 1% plays that can change a game. And then that gives him, when he makes those plays, it gives him confidence on the offensive end as well. Like I just love that he's fearless. I just thought of a nickname for him actually, because he's Bawali Bales, BB. I'm going to call him Big Balls.
Big Balls.
Big Balls, because he's just fearless. Big Balls Bales. He's just fearless at especially on the defensive end. Offensive as well. He's not scared. He's not timid to take a big shot. He backs his ability. So I hope that I know for a fact he is going to have a big game this season. I hope it's early so then he can get that confidence and be like, yeah, you know what?
This is me.
This is me. Let's go. I can do this like every game. And hopefully it's against Perth, because I think we really need it. This is going to be a really tough game. Perth have already lost the game at home. They're not going to lose many more at home. So we got to play them twice early on in the season at home. So yeah, the schedule hasn't been nice. So we've got a lot of away games to start the season, and throw the fact that we got Hickey out as well. It's not going to be easy, but you know what? The Hawks have shown that they can be competitive. If they can be competitive and keep it close, maybe a big shot taker, big shot maker, Harvey could get us over the line. But I honestly think this one's going to be really tough. If we can get this win, this will be a game that I had down as a potential loss. So if they get this one, that's a huge lift for the season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the New Zealand game. Now,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, New Zealand started the season 0-3 after winning the Blitz. They've started the season 0-3. Okay, I think
PJC's been out.
Been
they,
out,
They were out
in
with
and out.
Rob Baker for a few games.
Yeah, so again, they've had a bit like the Hawks, and I said this in this league, if you have players out, it's not going to be easy to get wins, but they're going to be desperate. They're going to be at home again. They've already had a loss at home. They're not going to probably lose too many at home either. So they're going to be desperate. So we can't just be like, oh, they're struggling. That means we're just going to walk in and win. It's going to be two teams who are going to be super desperate potentially. So I hope that we can get this win. I think that we are a better team than New Zealand overall. However, there's no easy games, and they've got players who can play well. And like I said, they're going to be desperate because if they drop to 0-4, do they have another game before they play us?
Yeah, they do. They play Sydney in Sydney. So they're going to fly up here, play Sydney in Sydney, then fly back home and play against us.
Okay, so they could be potentially 0-4. Well, because they're going to play Sydney, who just lost at home. So, like, Sydney aren't going to want to start the season 0-2. That's for them. That's going to be like they're starting to question lots of things, imports, coaches. So, if New Zealand are 0-4, we're going to go there, and they're not going to. If they go 0-5, it's not easy. I know Southeast Melbourne started at 0-5 last year before they made the adjustment and brought in the Josh King, and it turned their season around. I don't know if New Zealand are going to like make a coaching change, but it's not going to be easy. But the matchup there, obviously, their main guy is
Menenga and PJC.
Yeah, but Menenga and JaVale McGee will be a very interesting matchup. I'm pretty sure they played in the same Puerto Rican league. I think McGee will be pretty confident going up against him. I think, and Rob Lowe's their other guy who they've got there. I think we could maybe try to win that matchup inside. Obviously, they've got a lot of Kiwi-based players as well. They play with like lots of energy, like lots of continuity because they've played a lot of international basketball together, so they know each other really well. And they're going to bring intensity and they're going to bring passion. You know that's going to happen. But I think that where we can win this game potentially is inside. Hopefully Bolden and McGee are both playing. I think that's where we have an advantage. All right, then we've got to have someone who can lock down Parker Jackson Cartwright. So is that going to be maybe Bawali and Wani? Wani's done a really good job on him in the past because he's used his length to try to contain him because, yeah, PJC can sometimes, obviously, smaller guy, shoot over longer arms. So I think that's another key matchup in this game. If we can get that right, also win the inside battle, potentially hit some threes. We only hit 6 threes in the first game. We said last year, when we can get that to 10, we're very tough to beat because we are, like, even last year, we were more inside sort of transition team. We scored a lot of points, but if we racked up the threes, that's when we blew out teams. So, but it's going to be challenging this year, but we do have guys capable, but that's what we're going to have to do, I think, to win this game.
Big Harry Mack, first points back in the NBL, was a splash 3. Honestly, it's something to look out for. He missed 2.
Yeah, he's a guy who can catch fire too. Like, if he gets on in a little spurt of 3 or 4 minutes, he's capable of hitting 2 or 3 threes in a short spurt of time, and that could be something that we need, like a little Harry Froling spurt where like they leave him open and he nails it. He's done it before. Like I vividly remember we spoke about it in the interview where he had a massive game playing for the Hawks at the Wynn Entertainment Centre. He hit like 6 or 7 threes. It was ridiculous. It was it was epic. Huge. So he has that ability, but I think we'll need something like that, just a little extra spark to get us over the line.
Yeah, we absolutely can. And quickly before we wrap up, Corey, it's probably also worth mentioning our records for all of these teams coming into this season. Now, obviously, I've adjusted this to the Tassie game as well. But against New Zealand, since Justin Tatum has taken over, we are 6-1 against New Zealand. Wow. We are 4-2 against Brisbane Bullets. We are 5-1 against Perth. We are 5-3 against Southeast Melbourne. We're 4-3 against Tassie. We have swept the Kings. We're 6-0 against the Kings. We are 1-4 against Adelaide. They swept us last year. And we are 2-3 against Cairns. And we've split 6-6 with United. Okay. So some very interesting matchups and key things to look out for. We've got some really positive matchups, especially this Perth and New Zealand. If you're having a look at this winning percentage, That's with Bryce Cotton in that Perth team as well, mind you. So you've now gotten rid of Bryce Cotton and you replaced him for JLA and Mason Jones. Oh, in my opinion, I definitely think that's a downgrade. I know the interior presence is going to be a lot more, but I feel like we'll solidly match up with them on that. But their guard positions haven't really been filled as much. So
we did a really good job in those 6 games, though, under Tatum on Bryce Cotton.
Yeah.
But I think they're a little bit more well-rounded team now. They were very heavy Bryce Cotton focused when he was there. So the Hawks were pretty much, we slow down him, we win, and that was their focus. And they actually did a lot of times. Even when he was on that spurt of like 40-point games, we shut him down.
13,
Wani had a great game. So we've shown that we could stop Bryce. Now it's going to be a bit more challenging because there are a little bit more options around. Like that, I thought they were pretty good in the blitz, and they didn't play JLA. They didn't play, like, Jones wasn't there. So they are dangerous. It's not going to be easy there. I think they're a little bit more well-rounded team. They're probably a lot of new pieces. They're still working it out. So we could look back, we do quite well, and say it was a good time to get Perth at the start of the season because they're not really at their top. I would expect Perth to get better as the season goes along.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would have loved to have Hickey playing. So it'll be very interesting to see, but fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And look, it's going to be amazing regardless. We've got quite a few games coming thick and fast. Obviously, Perth on Thursday, and then the first game of the Ignite Cup for the Hawks on that Wednesday in New Zealand. Now, that Ignite Cup is something completely new that we are seeing this season. It's going to be great. Expect another episode coming out from us shortly surrounding all of that after that game has happened. It'll be a short mini episode explaining what happens for the Hawks there on out. I know the point system's going to be quite difficult to try and understand at first, just with how they're going to do it in this 40-minute era, and some exciting interviews and all the rest of it coming out as normal. Corey, it's been a pleasure like always, mate. Fly you Hawks.
Fly high.